Hey there, I figured I'd take a little break from the redistricting videos and provide more opinion on haunted attractions. I've been to a lot of these shows and have a bit to say. Back in middle school and high school, I went to about 3/4 of all the haunts in my life and fell off the wagon for close to 10 years. Starting in 2019, I got back to the rhythm of one haunt per weekend. In 2019, I went to 4: Everhond, The Haunted Trail of Balboa Park, The Disturbance, and Nightmare Hayrides. In 2020, I went to 6: House of Horrors Haunted Catacombs, Grizzly's Trail of Terror, Grimsley's Gorge, Freightmare Farms, Demon Acres, and the Fright Night Syracuse. 4 in this market, 2 in San Diego, and 4 in the Syracuse market. It's not very globe-trotting, but it was mostly a good series of experiences. Throughout the video, I will count down from 10 with a quick synopsis of my experience and some visual media of the show. The ranking is thus: 10. The Fright Nights, 9. Demon Acres, 8. The Disturbance, 7. Nightmare Hayrides, 6. Frightmare Farms, 5. House of Horrors, 4. Haunted Trail of Balboa Park, 3. Grimsley's Gorge, 2. Grizzly's Trail of Terror, and Everhond is at number 1. 10. The Fright Nights. The only cohesively good thing about this haunt is the lobby. It's one of the coolest horror-related spaces I've ever seen. The houses are a mess with clear themes, but sporadically different dressing styles. The 3D panels in Cursed Voyage and the Clown House are really good. They're just surrounded by unsupporting crap. Jurassic Dark is essentially a dumping ground for everything that doesn't have a home, and most of it is broken in spots. Mortem Manor is not a very convincing house, as some rooms, like the kitchen, aren't even attached to the walls. Slide into Hell is a gimmick and nowhere near the imagery of House of Horrors, Mark of the Beast. This show is the one that most rekindled my feelings for Fright World, House of Horrors, and Everhaunt, as it showed just how fantastic the level of construction in this market is. Overall, when I'm feeling good about my memories, I can give the houses a 3.5 to 4. However, that is relatively uncommon, and typically I give them a 2 each. The lobby is around an 8 though. 9. Demon Acres. While I haven't been to any of the top hayrides in the country, I did really think Depths of the Dark Forest is a great representation of what one of those hayrides should be. The wagon hosts are fun, the scenes are imposing, and there's good use of fire. This element is an example of what is really lacking in our market. We have great houses, but the outdoors is a point of opportunity. The finale of this hayride is an epic mashup that makes your night just a little bit jollier. Once off the hayride, you won't see a good element again. Jailbreak is a long line to sit down on a bus and then walk through 4 or 5 minutes of darkness with loud noises. Demon's Den does have some cool parts like the opening transition, but the floor being bare ground and lack of inspiration in most of it leaves the house middling. Overall, if Jailbreak weren't as low as a 2, the entire attraction may have ended up at number 8 or even number 7 on the strength of the hayride at a serious 7.5 to 8, and buoyed by the average Demon's Den, which I would give 6 at best, more likely a 4.5 to 5. Number 8. Haunted Hotel presents The Disturbance. The most remarkable thing I can think of to place this show at number 8 is that it was the least memorable of the 10. It was the first full operation trailer haunt I had been to. They had 3 houses in a Target parking lot, no queue line dressing, and little to no facades. Right off the bat, I'll give them all a 5. There was a hotel, bayou, and a clown house. The hotel was very well themed and built out inside those trailers, and the bayou did a good job of bringing the outdoors in. The actors scared me a few times, and one almost hit me in the head with an axe. I don't remember a single thing about the clown house, and that's most certainly a reason why this show had no chance of rising above number 8 for me, despite the relative visual quality of the Bayou House. 7. Nightmare Hayrides. I was feeling low for 2 weeks after having not been to a single haunt in that time, and it was already after Halloween. When I got the opportunity to head down to Ellicottville to this show for the first time, I was ecstatic. The environment is very unique in a way that only a family farm haunt can feel. The hayride isn't any more than a big oval surrounded by basic gags, but it's more fun than some indoor haunts. I would give it a 6. The barns have some fun aspects as well. Old-timey dressing, high walls, basic lighting, and the smell of old wood bring me back to the days of the old Hamburg haunted hayride and Barns of Doom. The indoor portion was very pleasing, from the vortex tunnel to the slanted room. Overall, I'd give the indoor portions 7. 6. Freightmare Farms. Freightmare Farms is the pinnacle of my experience at New York Pro Haunts outside Western New York. It is the case that in order to tackle 4 haunts in one night, we forewent the hayride, which, according to reviews, looked like it would have elevated this haunt above number 6. The other 3 elements were clearly good enough to land above one of my favorite local haunts. The Twisted Labyrinth is like a cool junkyard full of vantage points where actors can use the entire scene to scare you. The Professor's Estate in Winter Harvest was a really cool concept where scarecrows had invaded the mansion and was also pretty scary. The Condemned Mine Trail is a mining town overrun by big monsters. Ratings-wise, I think Twisted Labyrinth and Professor's Estate get a 7 each, and the Condemned Mine Trail gets just slightly less at 6.5. 5. House of Horrors Haunted Catacombs. Despite having gone to this show so many times, I gave the 2020 iteration of this generation of House of Horrors Haunted Catacombs the best scores of the last 9 years. The lobby was fantastic as always, the acting was limited to only the best vantage points, and the new house, the Hive, was a much needed dose of sci-fi horror. They had the timing down, and I was surprised at how smoothly the queue line flowed from house to house for social distancing purposes. The experience last year makes me question if I'll ever have such a good time at House of Horrors again. So much of it seemed to rely on the presence of a plague. As far as my ratings go, my reinvigorated memories of Hell House and Mark of the Beast put them at a 7.5 or 8. The Hive was a safe 7, and the lackluster Killer Theaters got a 5. 4. Haunted Trail of Balboa Park. I didn't think I would find such a great place built out in one of the major urban parks in the country, but I did, and it was great. There are 2 elements, the experiment maze and the haunted trail. The experiment maze is a true strobe light and fog maze, no lie, overrun by Freddy Krueger. There were at least 3 actors dressed as the slasher. For the fact that I've lived with 2 iterations of insanity at Fright World and am not too impacted by horror movie killers, the experiment gets a 5 from me. The trail, however, damn! It is such a good example of how to use shacks and detail them that it was like walking into a new haunted house every time you came to a door. Some of the large structures and use of vehicles is impressive. The light and fog are different from other outdoor haunts as they lit up the trees above and the path in very eerie ways. For my love of outdoor haunts and pedigree with the walking trail, I gave this show a 9 because in a way this is the kind of show I would have loved Buffalo Badlands to be. The top 3 haunts are all rated 10 overall. There are differences that stratify them though. 3. Grimsley's Gorge. The biggest haunt with the highest budget isn't always the best haunt. This statement is clearly evidenced by the tiny non-profit haunt Grimsley's Gorge in Phoenix, New York. The production group who built this show transformed this sweet memorial building into possibly the best haunted experience in the Syracuse market. With their small budget and audacious, intensely connected actors, they were able to put on a performance that likely tops out at least half of the pro haunts in the market. From their elevator to their dungeon to their kitchen to their crypt, everything was at a professional level. They used pneumatic scents, spark guns, and an elevated trackway to great effect. As the first stop of the night, Grimsley's Gorge set the tone for our 4-haunt tour and wasn't outdone. The free price tag is also an appreciated component and nowhere near the deciding factor in placing this high. 2. Grizzly's Trail of Terror. As mentioned in the Haunted Trail review, I am a sucker for a good outdoor trail. This one, just around an hour away from my house, takes the cake. The COVID-adapted queuing system may not exist again, but it was a good addition to the whole experience. Waiting in your car, listening to the radio with your friends, waiting for your number to be called is probably a nicer preparation than waiting in line. The approach to getting from entrance to trail is highly unorthodox and one of the most exciting forms of haunt transfer I've ever been on. The trail itself takes 35 minutes to traverse and has a number of really great effects and vantage points. The Halloween/haunt season feel is palpable throughout the entire haunt and warms the heart of everyone with a penchant for horror. The fact that the trail is close to a mile off the main road is also notable, as you really do feel quite isolated. So far, this is easily my favorite outdoor haunt. Number 1. Everhond. I think it's possible to say that the Southtowns never had a really good haunt. That is to say, just in Erie County. So when rumors of a high-end pro haunt came to the surface between 2015 and 2018, the interest was never higher. Come 2019, Everhond debuted and showed its mettle as one of the 5 best haunts this market has ever had. The detail and build-out of House of Seven Secrets and Rosewood County Asylum are absolutely classic and perfect iterations of the two themes. Some of the sets are larger than life, and the props are iconic and sometimes very rare. They also have 3 other elements, including a VR mine ride where you escape Frankenstein's monster, and last ride coffins in which you happen to be driven to a cemetery and buried 6 feet deep. Altogether, it is one sweet spot for memories and scares. It's also run by a low-drama crew and owned by an excellent character by the name of Kevin Donovan, which by all means instills the deepest desire to watch this place succeed for many years.